Hello my dear students, how's it going? I think everything is alright. This is Shumara Islam, lecturer, Department of English. So, I think all of you are studying hard at home as you are unable to go to school. It's very important to take the best of the online classes so that you can prepare yourself for the future. So, I think all of you will concentrate properly in today's class. The topic is very important and most of the time students tend to forget the rules of narration. So, our topic is narration and I hope all of you have some idea on this topic. Let's start with the main features of this speech or narration. First of all, I want to tell you what narration is. Narration means to narrate something, someone else's speech to someone. Okay. So, in that case, what we do not copy in the direct speech. When we narrate something, we describe or narrate it in indirect form. Okay. So, that is the thing that we have to do while answering narration, right. So, let us see the key features. First one is follow the tense, most important. Follow the tense, very important. In fact, you have to follow what the tense of the sentence, because it totally depends on the sentence, the tense or verb form of the sentence that makes the sentence correct or incorrect. If you can successfully change the form of the tense in narration, you can get good mark. Okay. Next thing is what type of sentence it is. So, when you are answering narration, you have to find out the type of the sentence. Another important aspect. Type of the sentence means there are 5 types of sentences: assertive, interrogative, imperative, optative and exclamatory. And what you have to do is, while changing to indirect speech, you have to make all these types of sentences into assertive. Okay, if it is interrogative, you have to make it in assertive. If it is exclamatory, you have to make it assertive as well. Okay. Next is identify the speaker and the listener. So, when you are doing passage narration, you have to identify the speaker and the listener. This is the important thing that will help you to describe the sentences properly. Then use of linkers or linking words in passage narration. That means when we answer passage narration, we get several speeches, right? And when one speaker has 2 or 3 continuous sentences or speeches, in that case we use linking words like and, or again said that, and asked that, like and asked, or further said, like this. And then change of adverbs. There will be some adverbs that you have to change, like today, that day, tomorrow, the next day, yesterday, the previous day, here, there, now, then, etc. Okay. Next one is comprehend the context. You have to comprehend, that means to understand the context. And how can you do that, or how it is important? If you can comprehend the context, you can understand which speech is delivered by whom, because you will get 2 persons or characters, the speaker and the listener. And if you can understand the context, you can find out the speaker and listener easily. And I would prescribe you to imagine yourself as the speaker so that you can comprehend the context properly. It will help you to find out who is giving this speech. Sometimes there are passages where the speeches are unclear or confusing. So, if you can imagine yourself, it will help you to find out who is speaking which speech. Okay? So, that's about the features that you need to remember while answering passage narration. Let's discuss in detail. So, the first one is assertive sentence. Assertive sentence means a statement. Okay? So, in direct speech we will get this type of structure. That means it will be started with inverted comma. And what we have to do in doing indirect form, we have to omit this comma and the inverted commas as well. Like he said to me, you will bring it tomorrow. The indirect is he told me that I would bring it the next day. This is the adverb that is changed in this form. So, said to, see the reporting verb, this is in past tense, so we use told and this will turn into would. Okay? And see the next one, he says I always maintain a balanced diet. He says, this reporting verb is in present form, so we cannot change the tense here. We have to keep the speech in present form. Okay? This is the aspect that you have to follow while answering assertive sentence. Interrogative sentence. In interrogative sentence, we find two types of questions. One is WH word and another is any auxiliary or different from WH word. WH word means what, when, how, where, which, who, whom. Okay? So, when we find WH word in the question, in that case we solve in this way, like he asked his brother, he said to his brother, say to instead of say to we will write asked his brother, then what are you doing will be turned into what he was doing. We are changing it into past form as the reporting verb is in past form. Okay? So, the sentence turns into a past tense, like what he was doing. We have to keep the WH word for making the indirect. Okay? Next, Rafi said to Rana, are you happy now? And indirect is Rafi asked Rana if or whether he was happy then. So, when the question starts with any auxiliary, in that case we have to use if or whether for making it indirect. Okay? And this now is an adverb and it turned into then, now, then. Okay? Remember it. Imperative sentence. In imperative sentence, there can be several situations. As we know that imperative sentence can suggest order, command or request or advice or proposal. Okay? So, there are several rules in imperative sentence and we have to use the correct one by seeing the reported speech. Okay? For example, we can use ordered, requested, advised or forbade in the place of reporting verb. Okay? See the examples. The teacher said help the poor. This suggesting advice. Okay? So, we have used advised. The teacher advised to. In case of that, we will use to replace these inverted commas. Okay? In imperative sentence we use to, not that. The teacher advised to help the poor. Okay? Next, he said to me never lose hope. He forbade me to lose hope or he advised me not to lose hope. Okay? There can be two ways. If you find never or don't, in that case you can say forbade, and in if you use forbade then you don't need to use not, And if you do not use forbade, you can say advised, or you can also say told or requested me not to lose hope. Then you will use not before to. Now let's talk about let structure. That means when the imperative sentence starts with let, there are few things that you need to remember. See the examples. He said to me, let us start the class. The indirect is he proposed me that we should start the class. That means this let us is suggesting proposal, and we are using should in the reported speech. And next one is she said to her friend, let him finish the task. The indirect is she suggested his friend that he might finish the task. Okay. Optative sentence. We know that optative sentence suggests wish or pray. Okay. So see the examples. He said to me, may Allah help you. So when we are praying to Allah, so the reporting verb will be prayed. He prayed that Allah might help me. Okay. Then she said, long live Bangladesh. She wished that Bangladesh might live long. This is a wish. So we used wished that. So we are using that after the reporting verb. And see the third one. She said to me, good morning. She wished me good morning. Now see number 2 and number 3. We are using we do not have the object in the reporting verb, so we have used that, and in the third sentence we have used the object of the reporting verb. That's why we did not use that. Exclamatory sentence, the last one. Exclaimed with joy, sorrow, wonder, surprise plus that. So in case of exclamatory sentence, we will find an exclamation sign at the end of the sentence, and it will express any of the emotions. And so we have to use joy, exclaimed with joy, if it is suggesting any happiness. In that case we will use exclaimed with joy. For sorrow we use exclaimed with sorrow. Wonder or surprise, for being surprised or being amazed, we can use exclaimed with wonder or surprise. Okay, and after that we have to use that. Okay, see the example. He said to his mother, how delicious the food is. He exclaimed with wonder that the food is very delicious. So you don't need to use the object of the reporting verb. Remember it. In case of exclamatory sentence, you don't need to use the object before that. Okay. Well, let's see some of the changes that you need to follow. The first one is present tense, past tense. If the reported speech is in present form, then you have to make it past form in indirect speech. And then in case of past tense, you have to use past perfect tense in indirect speech. Then future, future in the past. That means in case of will, you will use would. Then was, were, very important. This is a very important thing. Please remember, because most of the students do not understand what to do, and they do not change the form of was or were in the indirect form. The indirect form will be had been. In case of was, were, you have to use had been. Next, shall, would. Shall will be would as well. Then must. If must suggests any obligation, in that case you have to use had to for indirect speech. Okay. Now let's see how to solve passage narration. We have discussed the 5 types of structures, and now you need to connect the sentences or speeches while answering passage narration. What you have to do for answering passage narration? In case of assertive sentence, you are going to add the speeches using the linkers like and added that, or and again told that, or further added that. Okay, if there are several assertive sentences, you can use them accordingly. And then number 2, interrogative sentence. In case of interrogative sentence, you can say and asked or again asked. And in case of imperative sentence, you will use and ordered or requested or advised. And then optative sentence, and prayed or wished that. In case of exclamatory sentence, and exclaimed with wonder, joy, grief, sorrow, whatever it is. And then see vocative case. You will find vocative case, that means addressing someone by any name or sir or madam. In that case, you will write, you will make the indirect form using addressing him or her as sir or madam or friend or any names. Well, my dear students, let's solve one of the passage narrations. See the passage first. Follow my example, she said as we shook hands. I never ate more than one thing for luncheon. I'll do better than that, I retorted. I'll eat nothing for dinner tonight. Humorist, she cried gaily, jumping into a cab. So, what is the first thing that we have to do? We have to find out the speaker and the listener. So, the first subject, this speaker is she. The name is not mentioned here, so the subject is she and the listener is I. Okay, so we have found the speaker and the listener. Now say the first sentence. Follow my example. What type of sentence it is? Follow my example, as it starts with a verb, that means it's an imperative sentence. And there is a situation, see, she said as we shook hands. So this is an extension, but we have to keep it in the place. We can use this as we shook hands, this phrase in the beginning or at the end of the sentence. So what will be the indirect form? She advised me, follow my example. This is an advice. So she advised me to follow her example as we shook hands. Or you can say as we shook hands, she advised me to follow her example and never ate more than one thing for luncheon. This is a connecting sentence, so you have to keep it together. Then I will do better than that, I retorted. So this is told by I. So I retorted that I would do better than that. I will be turned into I would. Then I will eat nothing for dinner tonight. So you can say I retorted that I'll do better than that and added that I would eat nothing for dinner tonight. Tonight will be that night. Then humorist, she cried gaily, jumping into a cab. This one you can say jumping into a cab. She cried gaily, calling me a humorist. So that's all for today. I think it would be helpful for you, and you know that narration is always a difficult item, and most of the students face problem as because they do not practice regularly. It happens that they forget the rules and the steps that they should follow while answering passage narration. So I will suggest you to practice regularly so that you do not forget the rules and get full marks in narration. So that's all for today. See you in the next class. Thank you. Bye bye.